I've had a lot of support, but yeah.
Well, we're sitting here. This is podcast number 6 of Fête Du Void this year. We're sitting with Miss Shel Roumillat.
Roumillat, yeah.
Okay, I'm so glad I pronounced that correct.
You did good.
Thank you for coming through too. So you are all over the place with what's going on here, and also like back home with what you do. Like here, you are one of the art coordinators, correct?
Yeah, I'm technically the head of the fart department, or like the festival art direction. We call our art department the fart department. and yeah, so I kind of oversee that. So I'll do things and make installations, but really I'm kind of like the point person to help get in other artists to come do particular installations or murals, community art projects, and so I'll help them. They do that independently. They come in, they set up, they're responsible for sort of whatever it is their project is, but I try and provide them with the resources they need when they're here, and do things like coordinate getting, if they need like a structure built or lighting or power, just making sure that they have what they need to do what they want to do to make art here.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of
as
what
well
I
as
do.
your own projects inside there as well.
Yeah. And I've come up with a theme the past couple of years, and one of my roles is to try and like oversee where the projects are going and like what space might need a little attention, or where we could maybe do an installation or add something. So
or cover something up.
Yeah, yeah. So
like
visual
that damn tractor.
visual arts.
And so, like, down in New Orleans, you have your own costume store, correct? Is that?
I used to have a store, but I closed it about 3 years ago. So I don't have the store anymore. But yeah, I'm an artist. I do costume design and scenic installations.
I've seen I went and trolled your Instagram, and he showed me your Facebook and stuff. A lot of those pieces, like the back pieces and like the head pieces, you design and make. How long does like something like that usually take, or like?
It depends. It depends on if I'm, under the gun.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It's like, oh shit, a client needs this in like 6 hours. How? But it depends on the piece, and I would say, I don't know. That's a hard one to answer because it depends on like
how intricate
and if I'm building from scratch, if I'm already using a base and kind of remaking it. Everything I pretty much make now, I don't really use any ready-made bases, so I am constructing everything from scratch. But I usually, I think, try and if it's a week, I would say, per costume. But a headpiece, depending on, again, it's just like how elaborate is it,
I'd seen one. I'm sorry, Joe.
Oh, we might be thinking the same thing.
Go ahead.
The massive headpiece that was like 7 foot.
Yeah.
Like, is that the biggest one you've ever made, or you've made bigger ones?
I don't know if that. Well, I mean, yeah. So I made a piece. Those pieces were like for Jam Nola, so that is an experiential art museum in New Orleans, and I was one of the lead artists for that, and the pieces that I designed for that were really huge, but those got mounted on the wall, so and weren't something that someone had to wear around. But those pieces, yeah, I mean, the one piece I did, it's called Living with Water, and it's got this giant back part, like in a huge, monstrous map of New Orleans, and this waves that come over, and you kind of get into it, and that's like up on the wall. But that piece, I mean, that took me months.
So when someone comes to you with an idea to like do a piece for them, are y'all like collabing on an idea, or do they like bring an idea to you and then you just put your spin onto it, or like?
Kind of both. Usually someone will come to me with like, I want to, a margarita themed costume, and I'll say, okay, what is it for? There's kind of a series of questions that I'll go through with them and to find out what their purpose is. You know, are you going to be dancing? Are you parading? Are you really just going to stand there and pose? A lot of it has to do with like what they're comfortable with. If you're a person who doesn't wear costumes or wear headpieces and stuff like that, you know, I'm not going to build something that's really crazy for you because you're going to be uncomfortable usually. So I kind of work with the client and tailor what I make to what they're going to be doing, what their comfort level is, and then the look that they want. For the most part, at this point, it's like it's my design, you know, and I am fortunate that I can be kind of picky about the projects that I take. And so if, you know, I really only want to work on something where I am given pretty much total creative control. I mean, I'll like work with the client to, I mean, I want to create something that they want. And so I'll show them like what I'm thinking and do a rendering or a mock-up so that they could see it. But, you know, I'm not like, someone doesn't give me a design and say, make this.
Right. Man, you I'd seen one, I don't know if you had did it for a carnival this year, but it was, there was like a metal, it was like kind of metal-esque that had the trash can. And like the white lettering was like, man, that's like super fucking metal.
So that is a really amazing story. Actually, that is like a. I just got chills because it's such a sentimental piece.
That one hit
so
me. That was super cool.
The woman that had commissioned that piece. What the front of it says is Hollis, and I didn't know this person, but it was someone who a lot of people in New Orleans knew that was really, you know, a big part of the metal community there, and she was really good friends with him, and she wanted to make a piece because he passed to memorialize him, and she's really into metal, and so that we designed that, you know, she sort of was like, look, I want it to have trash cans because was supposed to, she was costuming as in an homage to Siberia, which is like the bar in New Orleans. And I think a lot of, I'm not a metal person, so but like I think there's a lot of music there.
A lot of metal shows,
And so she is in a group called the Dames de Perlage, and they do these the beading corsets. So like the Indians bead, the same techniques, but they are doing it on a corset, and every year they do a different theme. And so this year they were celebrating, like Southern Nights was their theme. And so every person in the group beaded a different, like something you would do on a Southern night. And so she wanted to do hers for Siberia. She did a beaded corset that was like, I think, the mural that's on Siberia. And then wanted like something, to like coordinate that with the headpiece. And so we went with that. And so the front where that lettering is, she beaded that. And it says Hollis, and I was like, this was an education for me. The font or how it was written is a very specific form of like metal lettering or something. And so I was like, okay, well, how about we put some rivets or something around the edge? And she was like, no, that would not be, that's like a different metal. Yeah. Like that doesn't go with that font. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I just...
There's like a whole
learned so much.
There's like a whole joke in the metal community about like if you look at a dead tree, looking up to the sky and there's no leaves on it and it's all like this. That's what metal band logos look like a lot of the times, you know. And so when I saw that, I'm like, I definitely have to ask about that because I'm a big metalhead and stuff. So
that piece was so fun too because so much of what I do is like colorful and sparkly, and you know, it was really fun to kind of step into a darker space and do something a little more edgy, tough.
So how did you come to find the Void? Like, how did you become like a part of this collective?
So I met the Iceman. I saw them play at a Halloween show in New Orleans and saw their show, and it was they were in their, like, it just blew my mind. They were in these white like utility suits and they had splatter paint, UV everywhere, and it was just like such a visually striking experience. And then of course their music was so good, and I was just like, wait, who the fuck are these guys? This is like amazing. And we became friends, and you know, as our sort of friendship was evolving, they knew that I made costumes and were like, oh, help us with this, or, you know, do you want to help design or, you know, dress us for this, asking me advice on different things. And then I just started doing little things here and there, like, you know, oh, we want to have black paint, you know, UV paint and black light and have a black light party, and everybody's like, you know, body painted for a show. And so I would like get that stuff together and do that. And, you know, or, hey, we're playing D-Max and we want to make it look really trippy. And I had the store at the time. And so I would have things like a shit ton of fabric. And I'd be like, okay, I'll go in there and staple silver fabric up all over the walls of D-Max and shit like that, you know.
Did you help with the neon orange ghillie suit?
No, I didn't help with that. That was all Hunter.
Really?
Hunter found those and was like,
Fuck yeah.
I love these. Yeah.
Those are incredible.
No, I think most favorite costume I ever did for them was the white jumpsuits that they have with it was like they sort of wanted that same splatter paint look, but they didn't want it to be those like the actual like painting suits. They wanted the coverall kind of thing. So I did those for them. And yeah, just started like, was always kind of around helping them with different things like that. And then when they had Carnivoid at the Joy, Charlie and Hunter came to me and were like, we want you to help us with like the stage and the decor and the setup and the set design for Carnivoid. And I was like, okay, that sounds like fun. Sounds a lot more fun than like making y'all's costumes. And so I stepped in and did that, and it was really fun and looked really amazing. At least I think so. And so then after that, Hunter had been talking to me for many years about the dinosaurs that he had here. And I've got these big dinosaurs. We got to do something with them.
Where did those even come from?
You know, I don't know. Like someone gave them to him. I don't know.
Who the fuck has goddamn
I don't
dinosaurs?
know.
The lore with that is they were movie props apparently.
Oh, okay.
At some and
the
it came from
pterodactyl
New
too.
Orleans, so that's about all I know about that one.
I've always wanted to know about that.
I mean, I'm sure he's told me at some point, but
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
long forgotten. But yeah, I know he just was, we got to do something with these dinosaurs. And so I was like, okay, so after the Carnivoid, I guess I had like proven myself enough. And I came out here and took a look at the dinosaurs, and they were like in pieces.
Yup.
And so I was like, okay. And Charlie was also like, they, it had a fart department. Alyssa, of course, had been the OG farter, and had really like done a lot with getting supplies out here and, setting the tone for like the spirit of community art making. And Charlie was like, we want to kind of build on that. And as the festival was kind of growing and getting a little more organized, they wanted to, he was generally reorganizing the structure of like how it's run and wanting there to be particular committee heads. So they were like, okay, well, we want you to be the committee head for the fart department so that there is like one person, because, at the time it was like Charlie sort of, he just needed to be able to delegate and be like, you take care of this and you take care of that. And so, I came on board then and started coming out here. Spent a lot of time out here that summer and leading up to Void. And Donnie and I kind of both had this idea at the same time to have different artists come in and paint the dinosaurs. So we worked on getting them repaired, and I put them back together. It was a massive undertaking because we had to tow them into the warehouse. We had to hang them. We had to get structures to support them so they could be rebuilt. But we did it, and we went in and tapped some of, our artists that have been our spray painters and that have been here for a while doing all the art on the festival grounds, and we're like, hey, you want to paint something cool this year?
Fuck yeah.
Paint a dinosaur. And they did. And, I mean, it was a really hard undertaking. I mean, like, the Tyrannosaurus Rex was, like, monstrous.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, like, to be able to paint each part of it,
Wasn't there a Stegosaurus too?
There's 2 Stegosauruses, 2 T-Rexes, and 2 pterodactyls.
2 pterodactyls. Yeah, I remember Charlie was super excited about them. I think it was like 3 years back when they were put on top of the graffiti wall right in the center.
Yeah.
And it was so windy, it kept like fucking knocking a piece like the braces and stuff. And he's just like, he loved it so much. We kept having to keep eyes on it to help and re-brace it and stuff like that because it was going to be a major focal point for that area, you know.
And it was. I mean, it was badass. Yeah, no, we just talked about this the other day, and he was like, that's one of the most dangerous things I've ever done out here, and I've done some fucking dangerous things out here. But yeah, so we did the dinosaurs. That was, you know, just I'm really proud of that. All of our artists kicked ass. They were stunning, and it just really leveled up the overall like vibe of the art here. And so then after that, I was like, we need to bring these to Carnivoid.
Fuck yeah.
And I just had this vision of the pterodactyl hanging from the stage of the Joy, and then I really wanted one of the Stegosauruses to come too, so I begged them to bring them there, and they let me do that. Really, they let Donnie and I do that. I have to give him props because we drove the 2 dinosaurs on a tractor back to New Orleans, got them in the Joy, hung them in there. I did another Carnivoid. It was really badass. And then brought them back here, and then, you know, it's like, okay, well, what are we doing next year and the next year? And so I've just kind of been building on that. I'm kind of also like the warehouse bitch because a couple of years ago, I am a roller skater. I love roller skating, and when I went to the warehouse one day, I was like, God, this would make a great space for some roller skating. I mean, it's kind of, you know, a little rough, but I want to try and roller skate in here. And so I was at the Void, and I woke up one early Saturday morning, and no one was really around, and I was like, I don't really know what to do. So I grabbed my roller skates, and I went into the warehouse, and Chris Senac was up in the Eagle's Nest playing and just kind of warming up and grooving out, and I was roller skating to live music in the warehouse, and I was just like, man, this is amazing. And pretty much was determined from that point on to convince them to let me turn it into a roller skating rink.
Yeah.
And I know Bobby Bonesy with the New Orleans Skate School and had been going to his roller skating classes in New Orleans, and was like, hey, I know you got all these skates, and you seem like the kind of guy that wouldn't mind coming to a camping festival. Could we get you out there with all your skates, and could you help me make this roller skating rink dream happen? And it took about 2 years of nonstop begging, and you know, I just kept. I went in with the determination that, like, if I just don't shut up, they'll let me do this.
Hey, what is it? They said the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
So yeah, I just kept saying, like, come on, y'all, come on, y'all, come on, y'all. And then it took a little while to convince the family, you know, that we could do this safely. And they finally were like, okay. And we did it. And it took a lot of, you know, me being in the warehouse, sweeping and cleaning. I was also sort of reorganizing, and, you know, the fart department convinced Charlie to clear out one of the front rooms, let me put, you know, supplies in there, and yeah, so kind of in conjunction with the rink and then the fart department, I sort of, you know, became the warehouse. I don't know.
Liaisons.
I don't want to call myself the warehouse manager because I don't want to be the warehouse manager. I just want to be the fart department head. But like, you know, but they really put a lot of production in there this year.
Yeah,
and
all the the lighting and everything is so incredible.
It's a dream come true at this point. I'm like really blown away at how far that place has come.
It's a very big hit too. Like last night, I was sitting on that new deck on the I guess that's like the western wall or whatever, and just like that's a high traffic area.
Yeah.
It really is, and I was just like, because like you see people walk around and you just notice it out of your peripheral, whatever. But I actually sat there 'cause I listened to the trap jazz, and it was fucking incredible. And there was like just constantly people feeding in, feeding out, going back, and people on roller skates, and it's just, I was like, the warehouse is a hit.
It's a wheel friendly zone,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, skateboarding too, and they have the ramps. Because I wasn't here last year, so I don't know like what is like new in the warehouse. I just am used to what was here a couple years back.
Well, Big Al has always been holding it down in the back with his bike
Yeah, that's
mall,
right,
and
yeah.
so that's a staple. And then you got the skate ramp thing happening in the back. I don't really. I sort of focus on the other half of the warehouse just because it's a big warehouse and
Who
I
has
can only do
the
so
arcades?
much.
I'm sorry.
That's the Sea Cave, and that's new.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
What? I mean,
I spent like an hour and a half night before last playing Mario Kart in there, and then I went over to the arcade boxes. I'm like, the fuck?
Yeah.
I sat with the guy. I didn't really get to talk to him a whole bunch, but I met one of the guys last night, and they were like super nice, of course, everybody's super great here. And that's like that installation is fantastic.
And that is like serendipity because he just happened to be closing down Sea Cave, and which is where his like place in New Orleans where all his games were. And I don't know, I think he like saw Hunter or one of the guys and was like, hey, when you guys are having the Void, I'm going to have just closed down and all my games are going to be already loaded in the truck. How about, I drive them up and make them part of the Void?
Yeah.
And we've always had kind of that arcade space. They had the pool table and
foosball,
foosball and all that. And so when I was working on like the redesigning the space and, getting it set up, I was like, well, let's build on that. Let's add, Charlie loves chess. So I was like, got him a big giant chessboard and I love Connect Fours. We had giant Connect Four, and just tried to make it a place where people can go and play games, have fun, skate, listen to music. You've got the fart department there, and I really try and keep that whole area set up. It's always been kind of a corner where people have gathered, and I listen. All the people in the early days of the fart department would go there, and late night, doing all kind of different projects. And so that's kind of historically that space. I wanted to preserve that and preserve the spirit of just free art and allowing people to, personally, if I go to a festival, I don't think I would be sitting up, all hours of the night, like making art, because that's what I do for a living. But It really amazes me and brings me so much joy to see people and like getting into a project and they're in there and they're like, so I just try and set up a buffet of all kinds of weird and cool supplies and, paint and glitter and everything that you need to kind of self-serve and get creative if you want to. And it's amazing. People really do some cool stuff.
Excuse me. How many different artists are currently out here this year?
This year we have 1, 2, 3. So in terms of like our actual, there's lots of artists, but in terms of a lead artists, the ones that, really came in for specific projects, we have 3 muralists, someone who was doing like a balloon light art installation out sort of by Skitter, and then I had Jane Tardo come in, and she is the one who designed the lanterns that we're making, glowing lanterns,
those are great,
the pyramid
man.
lanterns.
Yeah.
That's her design, and she has made them before with like groups and at parties and different things like that, and had a glowing lantern parades before.
Okay.
And so I loved that idea, and I really wanted to have a community art project that allowed people to create something and that is not just like, oh, I'm making this for me, but that creates something where we're going to come together and the installation is like the people, and we've made this all together and we are the installation with these lanterns. And so so we brought her in to kind of help facilitate and make those with us this year.
I had passed by whenever I think her name is Sam, the one with the alligator.
Yeah.
Well, it caught my eye, especially like Thursday night, because like you see our logo.
Oh yeah, it is.
And I was like, girl, you got it. So I started talking to her and I gave her one of my stickers and she was like, holy shit. And I was like, this is too fucking cool because we got
I'm thinking about this now and I'm like, oh my God, when she sent in the design, there was something like really familiar about it. And I'm like, oh yeah, duh.
But hers is like the frog is like riding the gator as like a sandworm from Dune and stuff. And I was like, holy fuck, this is too fucking cool. And she's phenomenal.
Oh my God.
She's doing like the black light highlights into it. It started last night and stuff, and it looks fantastic. And that's like a panel of 4 pieces of plywood.
Yeah.
That's fucking huge.
Yes, it's massive.
Yeah. So where is that going to be? Is that like a commission piece to be sold, or is that going to be a piece put up here?
It'll stay here.
It'll stay here? Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, that piece is going nowhere.
Fuck yeah, man.
And she's excited too. She was like, oh my God, normally when I go paint at festivals, like, I'm painting over stuff every year. And she was very happy that we wanted to keep it.
She's from Austin, right?
Yeah, I think New Orleans originally, but then Sam Soper is her name. From Austin. Well, New Orleans then, but lives in Austin.
Right. Yeah, she's super cool and super sweet. And I'm happy to see to have met her,
Yeah. And then we got Sarah Rowdy. Rowdy is one of our muralists and painters, and just she's my warehouse sister because she comes up here early, and she did one of the dinosaurs. She actually did Rhonda. It was the dinosaur that she did. Rhonda's. I was like sad to see Rhonda outside. Rhonda's legs are no longer useful. But she was. That was the dinosaur that was on the what do you call that thing? Island, whatever.
Yeah, the little graffiti wall.
The graffiti wall. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
And so but she does a lot of the murals. And we got Balloon Hands. Stephen Ferguson, of course. They're
Mike.
always been a
Mike.
part of the Void art. Balloon Hands' art is all over this place. It's great. And then we got the Engulf people this year, which was a big.
Those guys are great too.
God,
they are phenomenal.
Yeah.
We had sat with them for like almost a half hour, just like talking about that, and that happens every Veterans Day weekend in Kentwood, I think is what he said.
Yeah, Kentwood.
Yeah, and it's a burn fest, so you just get there and they have everything you need. Just bring what you want, and it's all full of love. And I was like, why the hell have I never been there?
Yeah, I've never been either. But yeah, I was really thrilled that they wanted to come and add their vibe to it because, with that group that you're getting quality, and they deliver.
I got to play with the propane.
Yeah. That thing is sick.
It's fucking dope. Yeah.
It is. It looks so good out here.
Who did the shrimp? Is that them too?
I don't. So yes, and I apologize to the people that did do the shrimp because Donnie, I think it was like Friends of Will's or something, and so they sort of handled that. So I don't know their names, but the shrimp are
awesome.
Fucking cool.
Yeah, I love that so much. And it's just like that's one thing I love about Fête is like, we get here. You guys are here like weeks prior, setting up and doing all this stuff. But like as like that initial Thursday, the night before, you see everybody still gearing up and still doing art installations, and they have their own setup, and then throughout the entire Fête, it's just nonstop art between the music and the artists, and it's always rocking and rolling. Everybody's just, no one's stopping, you know? And I love that so much.
I love that to me it was very important that the art here not just be something that you experience in a very one-dimensional way, like, oh, hi, I see that. I wanted the art to be very immersive and not just, immersive in terms of, like, walking into a space, but something that you could really feel the energy of and watch, and, you could interact with the artists and you can see their process and see the art come to life and, and feel that building over the course of the festival. So, and like last year, was it your daughter that came and was really into the Fairyland building?
Yeah.
So that was like one of my favorite memories of last year.
Oh, Shasha.
No, I'm not kidding. Because she came back the second day with like the fairy wings and everything. Wasn't that your daughter?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like one of their installations last year was Fairyland, and my mom had like given me a shit ton of like miniature things because she had a secondhand store that went out, they closed and retired, and she was like, I've got all this miniature stuff, and I know you like miniature stuff. Do you want it? And I was like, sure. And so I brought it out here. And we set up tables and put out supplies, and we set up this like one tree, and I'm like, this is the fairy village, and for people to like make little miniature dioramas and stuff and put them out around the tree. And I didn't know how people would respond to it, but people really like fairies and miniature stuff. I'm not the only one, and they were really into it. And your daughter was one of them, because she was like one of the first people at the table and was so excited. And I remember like working with her, and she was into it. And then like I left and I came back, and like she was still there. And then on Saturday she came back like dressed like a fairy, and wings ready. She was ready to go, and I was like, oh my God, like she went home and must have thought about this and was so excited, and then returned with a mission. It was really like one of the best memories from last year.
Yeah, she is arts and crafts heavy.
She has been for years.
But
Yeah.
I can't go down the craft aisle.
I still have pictures that she's painted. Oh shit! Whenever she first started, like whenever she was a little girl,
In my house, there's a wall just full of little, what's those canvases, the little white canvases, just full of her canvases painting across the wall. She loves that stuff.
Yeah.
One of my favorite memories, it's gonna be with me forever about her, is like every time I'd go over to Joe's house for us to barbecue or whatever, she'd say, Uncle Kobi, and she'd give me a picture every time.
Aww.
I have a whole section of just like pictures that she's just given to me, or anything she colored or painted. I'm like, give it here, girl. Like I love it's the cutest thing in the fucking world, man.
Yeah.
You got to sort through them though when you start getting that stack.
Yeah.
I look at it, I'm like, well, yeah, baby, it's pretty.
And you feel bad. I have two kids, and like you feel bad because you're like, I don't want to throw. You're not really, but you got to throw it away.
Yeah,
but then you're like sitting there judging it, like trying to. I'm like, I'm sitting here judging my kids' art. Like, do I want to keep this or not? I'm like, I feel guilty.
That's fucking funny.
But you can't keep it all.
So, what do you have lined up for the coming up for events that you're gonna be a part of besides Fête Du Void?
When I leave here, I'm getting ready to begin a really massive installation that it'll take me about 3 months to finish. So I'll be working almost exclusively on that. It's for, so I was a lead artist for Jam Nola, this experiential art museum I mentioned earlier, and they're opening another location and sort of it's going to be a whole new Jam Nola. And so they brought me in again to be one of the artists that's working on a part of that. And so I'm getting ready to start that. And then it'll be Mardi Gras. I won't have a lot of carnival clients this year because I'm focusing on this, but I'll probably take one or two. I also work part-time here and there for Rick Rack, which is a sewing and textile reuse nonprofit in New Orleans, and we get like donations of clothing and sewing and wardrobe stuff from film and television productions. They donate them to us when they're done, and we sell that stuff and use that to fund sewing classes and community outreach sewing in New Orleans. And so I work in their store. After I closed my store, I sort of stepped away to do full-time art, and then my kids got old enough to get themselves to school, and I didn't have to be on the road as much anymore. And I started realizing that it probably wasn't a good thing for me to be in my house in my studio alone all day, every day. So, and I kind of missed interacting with people in the store and talking about projects and costumes with people. So I had a friend that was the head of Rick Rack, and I was like, you guys need any help over there? I need to get out my house a little bit. So I do that, and that's what I'll be doing. And I'm sure they're going to pull me in to help with Banana Ball this year. Banana Ball was my idea last year, so.
Yeah, I like because y'all had made some merch from that too. Because I wanted one of those fucking. I think it was first I saw a bandana, right? Y'all had the bandanas and stuff, and with the it was like a ribbon.
That was
so cool.
Amazing art.
Yeah.
The poster art is sick. They just really do well with their poster art. So I'm sure I'll help them with that again, and and then it's back into void planning time.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, we really do start. I probably start thinking about it like now. I mean, I'm already like the after action notes and like, ooh, we should do that next year, or I want to add to that next year, or whatever. So yeah, when we come out here, like I try to make a few trips, throughout the summer early on to get things settled and, get to work.
Hell yeah. Well, I feel like this has been a long time coming, and I feel like this podcast has been like, it's going to happen regardless to see one of the masterminds or the mastermind of the fart department, and it's thank you for sharing with us and giving us just a piece of your mind,
Yeah, I'm honored to be here. Seriously, I'm obsessed with podcasts. I listen to podcasts like all day long because sometimes it's hard to pick music.
Yeah.
It's like can't tell the mood or whatever, and so I really love podcasts. I love y'all's podcast.
Thank you. We're still trying. We're we're still working out the kinks and stuff like that.
You just leveled up.
Yeah. Thank you. This is Joe did this. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for y'all. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. You got anything else, Joe?
Could you give us some words of wisdom for the listeners before we end?
Words of okay, yes. In keeping with the theme, glow with the flow.
Oh, hot dog.
Keep glowing. Keep glowing through the ebbs and flows of life. I mean, that's what the theme was. I saw the poster art and I was like, what would be the theme? Like, I really wanted to build on that, and I was like, it just looks like this beautiful flow of color, and so yeah, glow with the flow. Keep that light on.
I like that.
Keep shining.
Hell yeah! Well, thank you, Shel, so much for coming through.
All right, thanks for having me, y'all. This meant a lot.
Thank you so much.
All right.